extra special because first, it is the last TBD for the year 2024. Yeah, I think we have our guest speaker here with us already. Good evening, Madam Ogechi. Welcome. It's great to have you with us. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Thank you.
Yeah,
Good
thank
evening,
you.
Miss Precious.
Good evening, ma'am. So I was just doing the introductions. I hope you had a great day, ma'am.
Oh, well, so far so good. It was very busy, but I'm thankful for everything.
Thank God. Yeah, thank you so much for honoring our invitation. Welcome, ma'am. So I said earlier that tonight's episode is extra special. First, because it is the last theme-based discussion we'll be having for the year 2024. It also promises to be great because our speaker has a lot in store for us today, and we should get ready to be blown away. Her name is Madam Ogechi Ikechi. She's an English educator and the head of pastoral care at the what's the name? Okay, at the Riverbank School. Yes, at the Riverbank School. More importantly, I have my co-host with me today in the person of Miss Comfort Olukwotun. Yes, she has been an amazing person so far. She has hardly missed any episodes of our weekly TBDs. I'm so honored to be co-hosting today's discussion with her. So, here's some exciting news before we get into today's discussion. There will be a game, an icebreaker section, yes, and there will be a cash prize along with it. For more details, stay tuned to the end of the discussion. All right, that's it for introductions and welcoming address. You're welcome, Miss Madam Ogechi. Thank you for honoring our invitation once again. Yeah, with over a decade of dedicated experience, Mrs. Ogechi Ikechi is a seasoned English educator and an inspiring leader in pastoral care. She's a proud Nigerian and Ontario certified teacher, and she has made significant contributions to prestigious institutions such as Elion College and Leadership Academy, Noble House College, and the British International School. Okay. Currently, Mrs. Ikechi serves as the head of pastoral care at the Riverbank School, where she integrates her expertise in education and counseling to support and uplift students. Mrs. Ikechi holds a degree in English, professional diploma in education, and a master's degree in guidance counseling. Her extensive background in teaching and counseling reflects her deep passion for helping students discover and achieve their full potential, guided by a belief in their inherent worth and purpose. She's a fervent advocate for personal growth and development, and she is devoted to empowering women, fellow educators, and schools to realize their highest aspirations. Her visionary approach continues to shape educational experiences and nurture the next generation of leaders. She offers them support in their aspirations to transition into teaching international curricula, thereby underscoring her commitment to broadening educational horizons and fostering global perspectives. Mrs. Ogechi Ikechi, you're very welcome. Please, you may have the floor now, ma'am. Mrs. Ogechi, are you still with us? Mrs. Ogechi, can you hear me, please? If you can hear me, please unmute yourself and continue, ma'am. If you can hear me, but
My
maybe there's
fellow
something.
educators.
Okay, okay, yes. Continue, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. You can go ahead.
I hope I'm back on now.
Yes, you're on now. You're on.
All right, sorry, it was a call. The call came in and it just disturbed my hotspot a little bit. Please kindly let me know if there's anyone in the house who is not an educator. My assumption really is that every person here is an educator. It's in the spirit of personal development and self-improvement that I believe that we're here today on a Sunday evening when we probably ought to be resting or attending one evening function or the other. Please pardon the noise coming from my end. There is a Christmas party happening in my close. So there's a lot of music, that's blasting right on the street beside my window. There's nothing much I can do. I've shut the windows, but that's about all I can do at this time. So please bear with me. Kindly let me know if you can hear me loud and clear.
I can hear you loud and clear, man. I think others can.
Okay, Miss Precious can hear me. We have several other people in the house. I can see Madam Comfort is back in. Welcome back. I can see a name, Kwasarat Subar, and I can see Olawale Olagoki. Please, fellow educators, if you can hear me loud and clear, please give me the thumbs up.
I can hear you, madam.
Thank you. Oh, good. Everything literature. Okay, Miss Comfort, thank you. All right, you can hear me. Okay, so here goes. I will be sharing my screen shortly so we can walk through together what I have in store for us all today. And this is it, empowering through effective communication and positive affirmations. Okay, a quick one first. Again, I wish to ask, is everyone in today's meeting or webinar an educator? If there's any person who is not, can you please notify me? Just let me know. Please speak up. Thank you. Unmute yourself and speak if you are not an educator. All right, so by the deafening silence, can I rightly assume that every person here is an educator?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. All right, so the agenda. This may just look like a lengthy list, but believe me, it will be as short as possible because I know it is evening and we have all of the things that we have to do. We will try to make these as straightforward as possible. I would appreciate it if it's an interaction rather than a one-way thing. All right, so please, we're not very many. We're not many at all, and so this is more like a tete-a-tete. This is just a small community rubbing minds about our observations about the use of effective communication and affirmation in the classroom. I do not want to look like the sage on stage because I believe I am not. Okay, so please let's rub minds as educators, and I believe we will have a lot to learn from one another. So I will start with our the objectives of this presentation, and talk a bit about the power of communication and education. In education, the elements of effective communication, the role of positive affirmations, strategies we can use as class teachers, as educators, as form tutors or subject teachers, regardless of what designation is given to you, all right, in class or in the school where you work at. The impact of communication and affirmation on students, one or two scenarios, and a few quick tips, and then we'll call it a day. For the objectives, for understanding effective communication, it's necessary for us to recognize the importance of clear, compassionate, and engaging communication in empowering students. You see, the thing is, if there's anything I desire, it will be for us, each of us, to take note of the keywords of some of the descriptions that you see on here, or explanations you see here. So clear, that's a keyword, compassionate, and engaging. All right, clear, compassionate, and engaging communications. The impact of positive affirmations. We will explore how positive affirmations influence student behavior, build confidence, and resilience. We will also explore the strategies for communication. We'll identify practical strategies for improving our communication techniques and integrating affirmations in our classrooms. And then we'll reflect as a community, as a group, as a small group, we will reflect together on our individual classroom culture, reflecting on how our communication practices shape our classroom dynamics, all of the things that pan out in class, and thereby influencing the growth of our students. So um, I'm starting with research, all right, and that is the very popular, very well known, and foundational concept of Abraham Maslow, referring to his hierarchy of needs. Every educator here, I would like to believe, remembers this pyramid. I'm sure if you remember, you remember that this is that pyramid that seeks to show the stratification of the human needs, starting with the basic and going all the way to the more complex of our needs. All right, I want to repeat myself, starting with the basic or the fundamental needs and moving all the way up, all right, to the most complex. The complexity of those, the one at the top, not in any way being less important than the very basic ones. And this pyramid starts with the physiological needs of a person, the most basic things: food, shelter, right? Okay, so hunger, thirst, exhaustion, the conditions of living, sickness, health, okay, and so on. Those are our physiological needs. And a step upwards takes us to our safety needs. The need to be safe, all right? The need to avoid pain, hunger, and other dangers that we can foresee. All right, a step upwards, and we move on to our social needs. Social needs, very critical. The need to be loved, all right, to be cared for, the need to belong to a community of people where you are secure. You're part of a tribe, you're part of a community, where you can trust and not be worried about rejection or alienation. That's the next step in terms of the needs of an individual. And then a step further upwards takes us to the need for self-esteem. All right? And that's where we're headed. That would probably be the fulcrum of most of what we'll be sharing this evening. So if we go on and on about the need to communicate effectively and to use affirmations, whatever they are, in class to the children that we care for, it largely rests upon the need for us to raise individuals that are whole. WHOLE. They are whole. All right? Individuals that do not have a dented self-esteem. Individuals that have a positive and healthy image of themselves, because those are the people that will go on to do the things that they ought to do, they were born to do in the lives of other people. Because we were all, in some way, one way or the other, we were all created to serve humanity. All right? These are the people who will then go on to confidently achieve and become all that they were born to do. A lot of what we do, a lot of what they are in school. Yes, we may interpret the fact that they're in school to learn. They're in school to learn, they're in school to study. Our primary responsibility is to fill their heads with knowledge, however we want to do that. But we shouldn't forget, all right, that we are raising whole individuals. And an individual is much more than his intellect. All right? An individual is spirit, soul, and body. And that soul component, is a mix, is a complex mix, all right, of the conscience, the heart, the mind. And that's where you have particularly that of self-esteem, all right, the need to be secure, the need to not just be part of a group, but to be admired and to be respected. It is a core need, and that's why it's almost high up. It's almost the highest on this pyramid of needs. And finally, the self actualization. Okay, all right then. At this point, I will pause and I will ask a few questions just to be certain that um, I haven't lost anyone or that anyone, that we are all following. I will stop sharing now. I will return to sharing my slides, please. You can be sure of that. But a quick one. I want to go back to this meeting, okay, the meeting, and just ask a few questions. Um, Madam Suber, Madam Suber, please can you tell me anything that just occurred to you as I spoke about the needs, particularly the self-esteem needs of the student in our care? Please be free. Please be relaxed. Just say anything. There's hardly a wrong answer to that question. So please go ahead. Thank you, Madam Suber.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I think as educators, we need to take cognizance of the need to encourage our students to maintain a high self-esteem, not to see themselves as people or students with low self-esteem in order to be at the level expected of them. And I think that's a summary of what I can give for now.
All right. So I'll pick on some of the key words you just shared. You said in order to be at the level expected of them. That's a likely outcome of ensuring that your children have a healthy self-esteem. And that is remarkable, Madam Suber. Thank you so much. Very insightful.
Thank you, ma'am.
Does anybody else want to throw in anything just before we continue? Right then. So key aspects of communication. Madam Suber, how did you feel when I spoke about your response being very insightful? Did I sound genuine? Can you please evaluate such things as the tone of my voice and if my words came across as being fake or being genuine? Did I sound like I really meant what I said? Madam Subari, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yes, I can. But I can actually decipher from your tone if it's genuine or not. But I guess you're trying to encourage me at least not to feel bad about my response.
Okay, the camera is on.
Yes.
Are you able to read my body language? Did I display any body language that conveys that I did not mean, or if I meant? Just evaluate whether this way, positive or the other way.
Sincerely speaking, I did not look at your body language closely.
Okay. All right.
I must confess to that.
Okay, but in spite of it, how did you feel when I gave that feedback?
Yes, I feel happy that you seem to see me as following the discussion.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. And I meant that. I meant every bit of the words that I said. All right. So, yes.
Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome. When we teach, when we stand in front of our audience, being the children that are under our care, there's certain critical things that are extremely important. I'm calling them literally key aspects of communication. The tone of your voice, your body language, and your ability to display active listening skills. Extremely important. These three things. I can't stress it enough. I can't stress it enough how important these things are. You've got to ensure that the tone of your voice influences receptiveness and engagement. In our setting, the setting where I belong, there's something we call the indoor voice and the outdoor voice. Now the thing is that there's so much that there are different dynamics to the use of the voice tone, all right, to communicate with people. There are different dynamics to it, but the most basic that we use in our space where I work is the indoor voice and then the outdoor voice. The indoor voice is softer. The indoor voice is meant to be used indoors. So when you're communicating with someone, you're not raising your voice, because the act of raising the voice has the tendency to put the person you're talking to on the defense. Okay? Yes. So you're not raising your voice unnecessarily. You're talking with your indoor voice. So the choice of your voice tone, and you can do for now that it's been if it's something you've never thought of before. Now that I have mentioned it, you can do further research. There's so much. There are videos. There are articles that talk about the tone, the choice of the tone of your voice when you're communicating with people, to either get them engaged or to dissuade them entirely from listening to you. There's so much out there. All right. Your body language can tell whether you're open or you're closed-minded. All right. Whether you are approachable or you're stiff, a bit too stiff, or you're putting on airs. Your body language can determine whether a student approaches you to interact with you or not. All right. So it's something that an informed educator does with a lot of care. What are we talking about? Communication, because communication is much more than what you say. It's also what they see, the person that you wish to project an image of, what they see. All right. And the third, active listening skills. It builds trust and shows that the input of whoever it is you're communicating to is valued. What is active listening? How do you demonstrate active listening? That person who you're communicating with has got to see that you're actively listening and you're giving verbal cues to make the person continue to communicate. All right, you're not shutting them down. Okay, you're probably nodding your head. All right, you're nodding your head and you're putting in those fillers like okay, very good, go ahead. All right, encouraging that child to keep speaking. All right, to keep speaking and to be relaxed. All right, about communicating with you or the rest of the class. Generally, effective communication fosters a positive learning environment and it enhances student motivation. What are the consequences of poor communication? You can tell. What the bullet points you see on the right here are just the opposite of the 4 bullet points that you see on the left. So a wrong tone of voice will demotivate a student and create a negative atmosphere. Yes, we're educators. Yes, our workload can be very, very burdensome sometimes, and you have 1,000,001 things on your mind. You've got lesson plans, you've got notes to do, you've got a lesson to teach, and you've got burdens at home that your mind keeps flipping back to. And so there's a tendency to just snap in the classroom with the voice. That's not the way to go, all right? That's not the way to go. Why? Because, again, you are an informed educator. Negative body language leads to misunderstandings, understandings, and disengagement. Lack of active listening can result in students feeling ignored or unvalued, and that's not what you want. Because you're a remarkable educator, because you're different, okay? Because you're different, all right? You show that you're a listener, all right? And you care for your children. So poor communication strategies can undermine classroom management and generally students' performance. When you speak, you've got to speak clearly. You've got to ensure that your instructions are clear. You've got to use very clear and simple language to prevent misunderstandings and ensure that students grasp the concept being taught. You also have to communicate with empathy. The thing is, I could almost say that the people who belong to the generation, I could say millennials. I'm a millennial, and I do not think I'll be wrong if I assume that the average educator in the room here is a millennial as well. And if that's an educated guess, if I choose to go by that guess, I would like to reference the kind of teachers, a bit of the kind of teachers that we had in our time, because of course, as you remember, the use of corporal punishment, things like the cane and all of that, was pretty much rife. Okay, do you imagine a teacher that you know to be a twin or a lover of the cane or a lover of the use of wrong, terrible words at students? Do you see them exuding empathy or understanding for children, understanding that they are human beings that have their frailties, they have their weaknesses, and those kind of educators that are devoid of empathy? Are you likely, looking back, do you look forward to ever seeing them? Do you ever look forward to seeing them? Coincidentally, I think it was yesterday, there was a video I stumbled across. Was it Facebook or TikTok? It was about a man. This guy is already an adult, all right, but he was working on the car park of a shopping mall with his friend one day, and they both ran into their year 5 teacher. Would you believe that this man, who is already an adult, the how do I put this now? The immediate reaction, his mental response to seeing his teacher, his year 5 teacher, was not joy. It was flight. Okay? This man, who is already an adult, took to his heels. Why? Because he saw his year 5 teacher. I'm sure his brain just went straight to the kind of things this man used to do. At some point in the video, they began to show like a bit of a flashback of some of the reports he used to receive from the teacher. The teacher would give an F and put very terrible language, write very terrible language, alongside on his assessment paper. And I said, no wonder. Zero empathy. His brain would not even connect that person with joy or with happiness or anything or any positive memory. That's why an adult will see his teacher, his childhood teacher, and begin to run. So I stray. Pardon me. So active listening, focusing on the speaker, maintain eye contact, ask clarifying questions. All right? These things enhance engagement and build trust between the teacher and the students. Now we're moving on from communication to positive affirmations. Can we have one person? Let's have one person in the audience read the definition. Just read out the definition for positive affirmation, so that I'm not the only one who is droning on and on. So the definition for positive affirmations.
Positive affirmations are short, encouraging statements that recognize effort, reinforce strength, and promote a positive self-image.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
They're short, they're encouraging statements. And the thing is, it takes little to nothing to learn to become intentional about dishing out positive affirmations every step of the learning process. It takes little to nothing. It's just a small thing, but it goes a long way in boosting the confidence of your students. So here's what I'm hoping that the takeaway, really, for every educator in this room is that they will begin. If you've been using this, well done, good job. If you think you've not been using it regularly enough, I think that's one aspect you may want to tweak. All right, you've got to use positive affirmations regularly, because your students have got to believe in themselves. A student may just be the next Einstein. All right? If that child does not believe in their abilities, then there's no point. There's little to nothing you can get from that child if they do not believe in themselves, if they do not have faith in themselves. I will just, in the bid to emphasize how crucial it is for a person to have faith in themselves. So much rises and falls on the shoulders of faith, self-faith. For such a relationship as primary as our relationship with God, for those of us who are Christian, but for those of us who are not, I'm sure you can relate that, the person that you see as the one you serve, to a certain extent, to a large extent, demands that you have faith in them. The Bible literally says, without faith, it's impossible to please God. Faith in who? Him, God. And so, a lot of the time, what do you need to draw the best from God? It is faith. So let's take that to ourselves, who are created in the image of God. What does it take to get the best out of yourself? I'm not even talking of your learner now, but our individual selves as human beings. It is faith. Faith in ourselves, in our abilities, in our strengths. Faith in all that we have been created to be. Yes, there are weaknesses. Yes, there are shortfalls. But with that little that you seem to have, that little will make it. That little can literally save humanity. That little, okay? That little fire, if you kindle it, if you fan it to flame, it is capable of changing the entire world. And that's what you want to make your learner understand about themselves. They've got to be self-confident, and they've got to be willing to take on challenges, no matter how little they see themselves at this moment. You've got to encourage positive behavior. That's one way you can affirm your children as well. Okay? When you see positive behavior, you praise it. Someone may ask, what about when you see negative behavior? There are different ways you can, all right? You can address it. Is your focus, because this sometimes, a lot of these things are a question of psychology, all right? Negative behaviors. When you call attention to negative behaviors, are you really fostering positive behavior? You're not necessarily, all right? So you probably want to call attention to someone who is behaving positively, who is behaving well, all right? You want to make a big deal out of it so that that person will be like a model for the others to follow or to copy. Affirmations, positive affirmations foster a growth mindset. It makes them realize that yes, you are growing. You don't know everything right now, but you can grow. It helps them reframe. So if a child is having negative thoughts, they can reframe. They can think differently. They can stop, put a halt to that negative thought and think another way, to reframe, to encourage them to view a challenge as an opportunity to grow. I can't do this yet. See, for instance, look at that word. See what that word does. I can't do it yet, okay? Because it's only a question of time. If I can't do it now, it does not mean that I will never be able to do it. So positive affirmations go a long way to help out with that. So I've moved on to the next slide. I'll try to make this faster so that I can have more people talk about these things. So what are the effective strategies for using positive affirmations? Specific, all right? Affirm the effort, not just the outcome. Yes, a child has gotten a C rather than the B that was the target. Affirm the effort. So instead of saying good job, you could say you worked hard on this project and it shows. You've just affirmed the effort. You should be authentic, all right? You should be sincere. Don't do it in the bid to flatter, please. Especially the children of these days, they can see through flattery, right? So you don't want that. You should focus on strengths rather than weaknesses. You should embed affirmations in your daily practice, all right? For instance, your morning greetings, your feedback sessions, and the end of the day reflections. please teach your children to affirm themselves. All right? Let them have a positive self-talk. Teach them to develop a positive self-talk. All right. Now I'm moving on to the scenario. So a student struggling with math. What do? You're not getting it. You need to try harder. Is that what you do? If it is, there's a lot of room for growth. That's all I can say to you, because I've got to also encourage you. All right? There's a lot of room for growth. So you should grow past that level. All right? And be more positive in your approach to that challenge that you see in the child. So you probably say, I see you are finding it challenging, and that's okay. But you've made progress already. Now this is the progress you've made. And this is how you can be consistent with your progress. All right? Now let's break this problem down together, and then you go on. That child is encouraged, all right, to do their best. What about students disrupting a class? There you have it. Oh, rather than shout, will you stop being a problem in my class? No, you probably shouldn't do that. All right? Oh, I can see you're a bit restless. Do you have something to share? All right, stand up. Come and show the class how we can do this better. All right? Come and share your ideas with the class. Okay? Okay, so can we focus now so that we can move forward as a team? Always be positive, all right? Be sure to be positive. And finally, quick tips for us all. Please greet every student warmly each day to create a welcoming environment. Try to use names. If you're like me and you struggle with remembering names, that means you've got to put an extra effort into ensuring that you remember your students' names. Okay, even if you have to use sticky notes in the first couple of days, please try. Go the extra mile. Create a class affirmation wall where students can contribute positive statements about themselves and each other. If you do not have the benefit of having a wall, if you offer PSHE in your school, you can dedicate a certain section of their note, their PSHE note, to them writing affirmative words about themselves and positive statements about their classmates. Try to end your lessons on a positive note, all right? You all did great thinking today. That's where you are reinforcing a positive atmosphere. And finally, dear educators, please lead by example. You have to be what you preach. And so you've got to model affirmative communication whenever you are addressing your fellow staff members or your parents, all right? Thereby promoting a culture of positivity. Thank you all for your time, and God bless you very much.
Thank you very much, Ogechi.
And sharing your insights. I have a question for you. May I proceed?
Go ahead.
All right. Okay, the question is there a distinction between affirmations and confessions? If so, what are the distinguishing characteristics and how do they apply in application? I'll take it again. Is there a distinction between affirmations and confessions? If so, what are the distinguishing characteristics and how do they apply in application?
Okay,
Did
so
that now? Okay.
yes, I did get your question. Thank you. Thank you for asking. I think that's a brilliant question. Thank you. It gives me, there's this, it gives the vibe of a pastoral care director. It feels like you're either a pastoral care person, like a key person in your school, or you're just interested in it as a form tutor, and that's really fantastic. Now, yes, is there a thin line between confession and affirmation? Largely, they're about synonymous. They are synonymous, all right. Whereas affirmation, the word affirmation is derived from the verb affirm, or affirm is derived from the verb affirm is derived from the word affirmation, and that is to like emphasize on positivity, the positive trait, to enhance the positive traits of a person or a thing. Okay? Whereas confession, pardon me, sounds a bit more religious. Okay? It sounds religious. All right? So if you're confessing, and when I say religious, okay, I mean such a thing as the Christian faith. We know the words of our confession, right? That's how the Bible usually puts it. Okay, so religious schools, for instance, like the school where I belong, yes, I say to my students, affirm yourself, affirm yourself. But then there's this weekly thing I do, and we call it the confession for the week. It is that confession because they are directly, the words on that piece of affirmation is derived from the Bible. So after the words, you find at the bottom, like the Bible reference where those words are taken from. So again, I'm emphasizing the fact that confession sounds more like, it makes it sound even more religious, because the Bible typically uses the word confession. All right, the words of a person's confession, they are likely to have more religious matters or religious expressions derived maybe from the Bible or the Quran, if the Quran has such things in them. But affirmations are just mostly your feel good words, those words that say positive things about a person, regardless of where it's taken from. Just words, plain words, while your confessions are mostly religion inclined. Thank you. I hope I've answered your question, Ms. Comfort.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Thank you for that very nice response. So I'd like to ask, does anyone have any question?
I can see that Mr. Olamide Kukola, please go ahead and ask.
Okay, please, can you hear me? Good evening.
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Thank you. Good evening.
Okay, thank you so much for your presentation.
You're welcome.
So, my question is in respect to if we have a case of a learner from a dysfunctional home whereby the parents have this kind of, they express this verbal abuse, you get now, and the child does not in any way, is struggling to see anything positive about him or herself. What can be done to help such a child? Because that's a bit psychological. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. That's a great question, Mr. Olamide. Thank you for asking. And if you do have such a learner, the first thing I would like to emphasize is the fact that you've got quite a lot on your hands. You've got to take the words of this seminar or this meeting very, very personal. I would advise that you ask for a copy of this presentation. Please look through it, please digest it, all right? And let it motivate you to do whatever additional research you can do to find out all of the ways or more ways that you can be, a blessing to that child, that you can be a source of help, all right? Highly needed help for that child. All right. So first you must please remember that that child is most likely not the only learner in your classroom. So in the bid to help that child, you want to be careful to ensure that you're not projecting the image like the whole world revolves around that child. Don't overdo anything, all right? Don't overdo anything. Because I'm a Christian, I like to ask my fellow educators to pray for the children we meet, all right? So that we can be empowered, supernaturally to be there, to know the right words to say per time, all right? Yes. Pray for that child, however you know how to, all right? And then, again, take very personal all of the things that have been shared in today's meeting. At the start of your class, create that positive ambience in every class. Let the thing, what you exude, you know that everybody has got their own aura or vibe that they give out. You've got to you've got to intentionally ensure that your aura, your vibe is positive, it is loving, and it's full of empathy. The words you choose to communicate with when you teach has got to be positive 100% of the time. It's possible. It's possible. You've just got to be very conscious about what you say and how you say it. Will there be moments when you slip? There could be, all right? But if at any point you slip, you apologize, just take a step back, you apologize, and you reframe your words, all right? That child has got to be repetitively affirmed. Excuse me. When the child does work, gets their work done, if it's good, remember, affirm the effort, not just the outcome. So if it's bad, affirm the effort, all right? And show that child how to do it better, okay? If it's good, affirm both the effort and the outcome. Try, if you can go the extra mile, try to create words of affirmation for that child. If you're the child's form tutor, because form tutors play a very key role in school systems. They are in loco parentis. They're like parents in the school system. So if you identify such a child, if you're not the child's form tutor or class teacher, try to have a discussion with that child's form tutor or class teacher. Try to share ideas, rub minds as to how that person can help that child. All right, you can create words of affirmation for that child or words of confession, or however you want to put it. I think the words of the Bible are very powerful. I use that for my learners. Every class in the primary and secondary school in my school, we've got confession for the week, and that's how we start our day. All right, yes. So you probably want to create words of affirmation or confession for that student, for them to say to themselves every single day. All right. Talk to your school, your head teacher, your school leader, so that in moments, like PTA meetings, they can add to the agenda little educative nuggets for parents, because parents don't know everything. All right. Some parents do not know how harmful their words can be. So let your head teacher just chip in from time to time educative nuggets to parents during your PTA meetings, whatever they call it in your school, how parents can support their children, all right, to be the very best that they can be. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
If
Madam
anybody else
Ogechi.
has any additional things, please go ahead and speak.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. I don't think we'll be able to take any more questions.
All
Yeah.
right.
Thank you very much. So we've come to the end of today's discussion then. Madam Ogechi, do you have any final words before I proceed? Madam
Okay.
Ogechi.
Yeah. I would just like to urge every one of us as educators to be the best that we can possibly be. Thankfully, technology has made it possible for, I should say the internet particularly, has made it possible for us all to be as informed as we can possibly be. So just reach out, all right? Reach out, do your research, study, and do your very best. Deliver your very best, both in terms of what you deliver in the classroom and how you deliver it. And in respect to what we've learned in this meeting today, be sure to be an educator that empowers through their communication, all right, and through words of affirmation to our learners. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's great to have you with us this evening. So with this, we have come to the end of today's discussion. Thank you, Madam Ogechi Ikechi. Thank you, Miss Comfort. You're amazing. Thank you, Mr. Olamide. Thank you, everyone that has stayed so far. Madam Bossede, or is it Mr. Bossede? I don't know. I'm sorry if I if I called the wrong name. Okay, thank you, everyone. Once again, thank you for joining in. You have all been amazing. I wish us all a great 2025. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year in advance to everyone. Look us up on our website at www.everythingliterature.net, and you can also catch up with past and most recent episodes of our theme-based discussion, as well as other creative educational content on our YouTube channel at Everything Literature. So that's all for tonight. The game and trivia will be posted in the network platform. See you all next year. Good night, everyone.